Well, hello, Tiffany.
Hello, Shay.
Thank you for coming in to talk to me about this. I really appreciate it. Beautiful playing, by the way. It was really, really lovely.
Thank you.
So I wanted to find out some stuff about when you started playing this instrument. How old were you?
I was around 8 years old, and my love kind of developed for it because I went to my older cousin's performances or concerts in the past, and I remember this one song being stuck in my head like right after the concert, and I wouldn't stop singing it.
Yeah.
So at that point, I really fell in love with that instrument, and I was just like, okay, this is what I want. I'm never gonna find anything else like this. So I kind of was persistent about wanting to play this. So here I am, like about 10 years later.
Wow. And man, you're really, really good at it. It's interesting how we get inspired by other people playing and follow through on that sort of thing. Do you play any other instruments?
I know I played violin in elementary school, only for 1 year though, because I think it was a requirement in 5th grade. I like that too, but I think maybe some people have more preferences on instruments and what really fits them, so I thought this one really spoke to me.
Definitely. Were there any parallels that you see with violin? Anything that you were able to take from learning that to transfer to this instrument, or is it completely different?
Besides your fingers hurting, I think, well, both are string instruments, but I feel like mainly they're both kind of different.
Well, it was interesting watching you tune the instrument. Maybe I could ask you a couple questions that might seem a little silly, but it's stuff that I'm really not aware of. When you're tuning the instrument, I mean, on anything like a guitar or a bass or violin, I'm thinking about the tension of the strings. And normally that's associated with a tuning peg to tighten the strings or loosen the strings, but it looks like you're using bridges.
Right.
Is that so is it a matter of placement with the bridge as far as what tone you're getting? Is that how it works?
So we actually can tune with the bridge or the tuning pegs, which are like inside. So if you want to tune it with the tuning pegs, you would have to use like a wrench, or I think that's what it's called. But then like this usually tightens or loosens the string, but if you want to keep the tightness of the string, you would usually like move the bridges.
Okay, so there is a tuning peg. It's just kind of hidden in the little cabinet there. So it almost looks like you become a tech, like an instrument tech, to be able to actually learn how to do that kind of stuff. When I teach young kids piano, oftentimes they look at the piano and they think, whoa, that's a lot of keys. And I often tell them, really it's just 12 notes repeated over and over. I mean, there's 88 keys on the piano. Really, when you're talking about the alphabet, it's just 7 notes. We've got our sharps and flats, but is it a similar concept here? I see these green strings in here. Are those the same note? Is that how that works? Or
so basically, like the piano, this repeats itself. So we go do, re, mi, so, la, and then do again. But in order to like differentiate or like memorize what note is which, these green strings define different octaves. So there's 3 octaves. The green strings represent so. So basically, this kind of guides us and tells us, okay, this is so. So after so, obviously comes la. So that's how we know which string is which. And of course, re. Well, we tell kids like re is always in between this green strings.
Can you repeat the ones that you're using here?
So we have do, re, mi, so, la, and do. So there's no fa or ti.
Okay.
So in order to get fa or ti, we have to bend on mi and la.
Interesting. That's one of the things I was going to ask you about is how much does it, you know, from the untrained eye, it's like I see you just pushing on strings and saying, wow, that's cool. It sounds like you're bending the notes, but are you, so you're bending them to a specific interval?
Yes, we have to bend a specific strength. So if I bend like too hard, it'll be like too sharp. But if I bend too lightly, it will be too flat, and it won't give you the correct note. It sounds kind of eerie.
What about where you're bending? I mean, does it matter exactly where you're pushing down on the left side of the bridge?
Typically, yes, but because I'm kind of trained to remember where it is, so it's usually about like this much away from the bridge.
Okay.
But I think around like these areas is where you can push down. Not over here, or you cannot do it. Or down here, it's just way too easy to push, so it won't do anything for your instrument.